UFC 324, Pimblett versus Gaethje takes place this weekend at the T-Mobile Arena. And I'm going to go through the entire card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. Starting off the card, we have Ty Miller versus Adam Fugit. Ty Miller is 6-0 and Adam Fugit is 3-2 in his last 5. Ty Miller is this up-and-coming prospect. He's 6-0. He just came off a UD win against Jimmy Drago in the Contender Series. Adam Fugit is coming off a first-round KO loss to Islam Dulatov. He's 3-2 in his last 5. His 3 losses being Michael Morales, Islam Dulatov, and Mike Malott. So granted, those losses are not terrible because they're against the top echelon fighters right now. But I'm still obviously going to pick Ty Miller in this fight. Ty Miller in this fight because he's a younger, hungrier guy, more explosive, and Adam Fugit seems to be at the end of his road. He's 37 years old, 3-2, finishing all 3 of those fights. However, if I was a betting man, I would not touch this fight because Ty Miller's an untested prospect. He's 6-0, lack of experience. And if I had to pick someone, I'd pick Ty Miller. But if I was a betting man, I would not touch this fight. Next up, we have Ricky Turcios versus Cameron Smotherman. Ricky Turcios is coming off that loss against Brendo Solpage. Cameron Smotherman is coming off that loss against Ricky Simone. Neither of these guys are particularly impressive in any area, to be honest with you. Both these guys are younger prospects, Smotherman being 28 and Turcios being, 32 years old. The thing with this fight, I'm going to pick Cameron Smotherman, not because I can see him exploiting any weaknesses in Turcios, but mainly just because he's a more explosive, well-rounded guy. Neither of these guys particularly are impressive to me, if I'm being honest with you. But Smotherman just has that edge in athleticism, but they're cans, if you want me to keep it real. And I don't see any of these guys moving their way into the rankings. So once again, this is a fight I don't know why you would bet on either of these guys. Considering that Smotherman's also minus 200 when both of them are coming off 2 losses, I don't know. But because he's more explosive, more well-rounded, and I'd say he's also fought better competition. Like, dude, Turcios got, even though Raul Rosas Jr. looks good, bro, but he's still a younger guy. His last fight was not that great. You know, he kind of got ran through by Raul Rosas Jr. And moving up the fight card, we have Josh Hokett versus Denzel Freeman. This is the first fight of the night I am excited for. Man, Josh Hokett is someone we've been looking for in the heavyweight division for a long time. This guy's fucking funny. He's entertaining. And not to mention, he's actually fucking good. He's explosive. That 7-0 record is both a split down the middle of 4 knockouts and 3 submissions. On the other side, we have Denzel Freeman, another prospect. He came from the LFA. Had a UD win on UFC. I think it was against Buhagio, who was a 6-0 prospect who's no longer in the UFC. I think Josh Hokett's going to come out. He's going to fucking violently knock out Freeman. I think he's going to violently knock him out in the first or second round. He might submit him, though, which is a fear I do have, because Josh Hokett, as much as people don't really respect it, he's got phenomenal wrestling. He was originally an All-American wrestler. He then tried to become a San Francisco 49ers football player and eventually transitioned to MMA. His explosivity, his power, and just overall his well-roundedness, I think is going to give him this fight. The skill gap in the heavyweight division is lacking right now, bro. Like, you don't see a lot of skilled people necessarily. You see a lot of one-trick ponies just because they're heavier guys. And right now, Josh Hokett is on an incredible KO streak. He came off 2 first-round knockouts, 2 great post-fight interviews. I think he's going to come out there and make a statement and knock out Denzel Freeman violently. Moving up the card. To end off the early prelims, we have Michael Johnson versus Alexander the Great Ape Hernandez. Both of them are riding a little bit of a streak. Both of them are 4-1 in their last 5. Michael Johnson coming off that crazy upset against Daniel Zellhuber, where he was able to just close the range and just absolutely out-volume and hit Zellhuber so hard, but he was able to 30-27 him to a decision. Alexander Hernandez is coming off that beautiful flatline KO of Diego Ferreira. But I'm going to go with Michael Johnson here. And I think Michael Johnson is someone a lot of people should eye. And I don't understand why he's a decently moderate size underdog, because though Alexander Hernandez is coming off 2 great knockout wins, Chase Hooper is not a great striker. He looks pretty fucking clueless on the feet, if I'm being honest with you. And Diego Ferreira was doing super good against Alexander Hernandez. You see, Alexander Hernandez was circling the cage, not really engaging, having Ferreira come to him. And the optics were not that great until he landed that overhand right, which is fucking laid for out cold. But it's precisely because of that win that I'm picking Michael Johnson here. Michael Johnson is a guy who's going to out-volume you, get in your face, gritty. If you want to be gritty, he'll be gritty. And Alex Hernandez just likes to circle the cage. And I think this fight is going to go to distance. And I think Michael Johnson's going to win a decision. I think his output, his power, and just sheer optics of pushing the pace is going to win him a decision. I could see Alexander Hernandez, on the other hand, chinning Michael Johnson, though. Michael Johnson is pretty fucking notorious for having a glass chin. I mean, even Diego Ferreira, the guy that Hernandez recently just beat, chinned Michael Johnson, dude. The guy looked like a fucking corpse on the ground. But at the end of the day, that I would rather pick someone who has a lot more ways to win than one-shot knockout power. You know what I mean? I think the fact that he circles the cage is going to be his downfall, and Michael Johnson's going to win a 30-27, maybe even 29-28 UD. I do not see Hernandez making this fight as competitive as people think, just sheerly for the fact that he circles the cage way too much. Moving up the card, to start off the prelims, we have Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson's coming off that spectacular KO win against Kavanaugh. And Alex Perez is coming off that terrible submission loss against Asu Ambalaev. The crazy thing is in this fight, Johnson's the older man. But that doesn't matter. I was just going to point that out there. But I have Charles Johnson winning this fight. And I actually have him win this fight by round 3 KO. Though Perez is the younger man, he's had a lot more fights in the UFC than Charles Johnson. He's way older than him when it comes to fight age. And man, like, Perez always comes out the first round looking good, but he always somehow manages to fuck it up in the second and third round. And Charles Johnson, man, like, this is someone who's been right outside of the rankings for a very long time. Someone where people argue he got snubbed of a top 15 spot because the opponent, the one loss that he has in his last 5-fight win streak, Temirov, got popped for roids. Charles Johnson's been wanting to break into the rankings for a long time. This is his opportunity to do so. On the first pay-per-view card, opening up the prelims, he's going to come out there and he's going to make a statement. And he's finally going to break into the top 15 rankings. And we're going to see Charles Johnson finally get recognized for the true contender that he is. Dude, the current flyweight champion, even though he's a fake champion, got knocked out by Charles Johnson. Another one of these great up-and-coming prospects, Kavanaugh, got knocked out by Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson is so good at mitigating range. He's so good at sniping and finding that one-shot KO, though he doesn't need that to win. I could see him absolutely cutting angles, pressuring Perez, just hitting him with those shots to just end off the rounds. Perez, I could see him maybe grappling Johnson, but Johnson's takedown defense is very underrated in my personal opinion. Even that fight against Temirov, this juiced out Kazakhstani, he was able to survive. And for that reason, I have Charles Johnson to win by KO in the third round. And I think Charles Johnson is absolutely a lock. Up the card, we have Nikita Krylov versus Modestas Bukauskas. Krylov is on a 2-fight losing streak, both of them being absolute murder flatline losses. And Bukauskas has put together a nice little 4-fight win streak. He's coming off that win against Paul Craig, and then before that, a split decision robbery against Kutalaba, but we're not going to talk about that. And I think it was an arm triangle. A KO against Rafael Sakaria and an arm triangle against Marcin Prachnio. For obvious reasons, I'm going to go Bukauskas. Krylov, man, I think the odds are still very close because back in the day, he was that guy. He was like a light heavyweight Gamrot. He was a gatekeeper of the top 10, you know. He has really good jiu-jitsu. He has moderate striking. He's able to mix it up, and he did good, but he had a 2-year layoff because of injuries, and he came back, got brutally flatlined by Dominic Reyes, and for some reason he accepted a short turnaround against Bogdan Guskov, a guy who's known for his one-shot KO power, and he got laid out by him as well. And now he's taking on Modestas Bukauskas, who's a guy who likes to push the pace, who likes to find a finish. He's not a guy who likes a clean fight. He's going to get up in your face. He's going to close the range. He's going to push you up against the fence. He's going to do knees to the body. He's going to make it a dirty fight. And Krylov, man, he doesn't seem like he's fighting to win anymore. In both his losses, he's getting chinned because he's running at them, throwing his 1s and 2s for literally no reason. Except I'm going to go against the crowd. Everyone thinks that Bukauskas is going to knock out Krylov. I think he's going to submit him. I think Krylov might be a little smarter and might try to survive for a little bit longer. And if Bukauskas can't find the finish on the feet, I could see him hurting Krylov, dropping him, and getting down on the ground and finding that sub, which is a crazy call. But is it? Out of the 11 losses that Krylov has, 6 of them have been by sub. And how have those 6 come? It's always by club and sub. He gets dropped. He has a really good guard game. They pass, instead of trying to get past his guard and punching him, they get past his guard, they go into side control, and they find that arm triangle. And I have Modestas Bukauskas by sub, but not only do I have him by sub, I think he's going to arm triangle Krylov. I'm going to try to sit here and play devil's advocate and make an argument for Krylov, but he's one of the only guys on this card I can't make an argument for him. He doesn't seem like his head's in the game, you know, especially what's going on with Ukraine and whatnot. I've heard a lot of things outside of the MMA media basically saying that he's just trying to collect a paycheck and, you know, ride off into the sunset. But yeah, inevitably I'm going to have to go with Modestas Bukauskas. If you don't want to play the sub prop, you could play him by finish. I think he's fine this finish in this fight, and I think he's going to make a statement, and he's going to move up the rankings, and we'll see who he calls out in his next fight. Moving up the card, we have Atiba Gaethje versus Andrei Pulev. Do I even need to make an introduction for Atiba Gaethje? Atiba Gaethje is the next Cameroonian monster. You know, they call him the middleweight Francis Ngannou. He's a violent guy. He beats the shit out of people in the cage. But Pulev, on the other hand, he's coming off that win against Nick Klein. And before that, he lost UD against CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan, who is a power hitter, who's on a nice little win streak. I have, obviously, Atiba Gaethje by knockout. So does everybody else. Except I'm going to go against the crowd. And I have Atiba Gaethje by knockout in the 2nd or 3rd round. Andrei Pulev is not as big of a can as he says, as people think. You know, Atiba Gaethje, man, let's read out these last 3 wins. Trayson Vines, Robert Valentine, Jose Medina, who's literally seems like he has 0 MMA training whatsoever. You know, like all these guys look somewhat trained. Jose Medina looks like some Mexican they picked up fucking bar fighting, threw him into the cage with this killer, and hope for the best. You know, like I have him in the 2nd or 3rd round because Pulev is a legit kickboxer, man. He's good at managing his range. He's good at moving in and out. He's good at circling. I could see him surviving a round. Dude, he went 3 rounds with CLD. Yes, he lost that fight. And no, I don't see him being able to win this fight. But he's not a can where he's just going to go in there and get laid out. Those guys, they got pressured and they stayed trying to fight back because they were panicking because they're not experienced, which then led them to getting hit to the body, looping overhand right to the head against the cage. Boom, out. Pulev, if he feels that power, I see him circling the cage, throwing teeps, throwing leg kicks, and trying to slow the guy down one way or another to make it to the 2nd round, where I think Atiba Gaethje will eventually push Pulev to the cage, hit him to the body, make him drop his guard, and just land that devastating right overhand and get another highlight reel knockout. People think he's going to be a phenom and maybe even finally break into the top 15 rankings because I feel like they've been giving Atiba Gaethje a little bit of protected fights, you know? I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you and say that, like, he's not dangerous. Like, obviously, it's evident he's dangerous, but he's relatively untested, man. This is the first guy that they're giving him is like, okay, this guy's somewhat skilled. You know what I mean? But inevitably, it's going to be Gaethje by 2nd or 3rd round KO. Ending off... Oh, shit, sorry. I didn't mean ending off the prelims. We're going to go to Umar versus Figgy. Is there much to say about this fight, man? Figgy is 38. He's coming off that one against Montel Jackson where people can argue that he lost. Umar is 30, young, coming off that win against Mario Batista. Prior to that, lost a close fight, a closer than people think fight against Merab Davashvili. I don't understand why Umar's a minus 2,000. It's a fist fight. Anything can happen. And Umar's been shown to be susceptible by getting chinned. I mean, like, dude, the guy got dropped by Mario Batista. He got dropped by that other, what's it called? I think it was Asu Ambalaev. I don't remember who it was necessarily, but another one of these Kazakhstani guys. He has a susceptible chin, and yeah, but inevitably we know what's going to happen here. I think Umar's going to come out, and I actually think he's going to find a finish. A lot of people are saying Umar by UD, and that was what my original thought was, because, you know, dude, these Dagestani guys, they're not guys who go in there who are trying to find the finish. If they find the finish because the guy's so ass, they find the finish. But inevitably, dude, these guys like to get their UDs, you know? But Figgy has looked old. He's looked slow. His cardio's looked terrible. His decision-making has been atrocious. Like the fight against Corey Sandhagen, who is Umar's best win, by the way. That fight against Sandhagen, he just kept trying to go for heel hooks and get put in 50-50s, and eventually his leg got snapped because he just kept going for something that was evidently not working. And he looks really slow in the fight against Montel Jackson. If Umar's going to find a finish, I think it's going to be my knockout. I don't think he's going to sub Figgy. He might club and sub Figgy, but I think Figgy slows down. Umar pushes him against the cage, takes him down, and gets us TKO. But I wouldn't bet that. He's a minus 2,000 in a fist fight. Dude, it could be Francis Ngannou versus fucking Merab Dvalishvili, a 135er. No one should be a minus 2,000. It's a fist fight. You know what I mean? And there's no value on this fight whatsoever. But if you want me to give a pick, it's going to be Umar. Up the card, for the featured prelim of the night, we have Arnold Allen taking on Jean Silva. Arnold Allen has been out of commission for the past 2 years. His last fight being Gaethje UD, and before that he lost a split decision against Movsar Evliv in a really close fight. Jean Silva was on a crazy KO streak, the best fighting nerd. He is coming off that second round knockout loss to Diego Lopez. This fight is way closer than people think. I think a lot of people disrespect Arnold Allen, a guy who has got a granite chin, a guy who's got great counter wrestling and great counter jiu-jitsu. As we saw, it was displayed against Movsar, where Movsar had to initiate a lot more striking in order to get those wrestling takedowns. And even when he did get those takedowns, Arnold Allen was able to get up. I'm going to go with Jean Silva here, and I'm going to go with Jean Silva by decision. Jean Silva in his last fight got brutally knocked out by Diego Lopez, but he went out and openly admitted that that loss was inevitably a result of his fighting with emotion. He comes out like a bat out of hell, and he treats everybody like they're can and tries to get that finish, and we love him for it. But when it came to that high-level guy, he thought he could do the same, and when he started getting pieced up a little bit and having a little bit of resilience, he started really pushing the pace and started going for a lot of stupid things because he was stressed out, because he was pissed off that it was not going the way that he thought it was going to go. I think he's going to approach this fight with a lot more caution. He's going to pick his shots. He's going to mix it up. I think that's one thing a lot of people don't respect, his ability for Jean Silva to mix it up, mixing those takedowns and throw Arnold Allen off his striking game. And inevitably, I think he's going to win a UD 29-28 against Arnold Allen. I could definitely see Arnold Allen taking a round off of him, considering I think Jean Silva is approaching the fight a little bit slower. I don't think Jean Silva is going to respond to chaos with more chaos, because he knows that's how he lost his last fight. But, ring rust is something that you have to consider. Arnold Allen's been out of commission. He's been riddled with injuries for a lot of his career. Jean Silva got the ass whooping he needed to transcend as a fighter. Sometimes you need a loss to learn from it. And I think Jean Silva truly has learned from his loss. And I think we're going to see a very sharp but skillful and patient Jean Silva this Saturday night. 29-28, Jean Silva. Starting off the main card, we have Natalia Silva versus Rose Thug Namajunas. Natalia Silva is coming off that UD win against Alexa Grasso. Rose Namajunas is coming off that UD win against Miranda Maverick. And before that, she lost against Erin Banchfield. Do I have to say anything? I really think that Natalia Silva is going to make this fight look easy. A lot of my friends think she's going to knock her out. I don't think Natalia Silva has that one-shot KO power, but I do think she's going to dominate for all 3 rounds. Rose has a lot of notoriety. Thug Rose has a lot of history and respect, man, but she's not been looking the same. Fuck you, Pat Barry. She's not been looking the same. She's been looking slower. And Natalia Silva, man, I've not seen a chick with this much output. She's up in your face. She doesn't stop striking. She doesn't pick her shot. She is nonstop in your face pressure. Great jiu-jitsu. She doesn't really utilize it, though. And the reason I bring that up was Rose in her fight against Tracy, because Tracy was doing she had her moments in boxing, would start utilizing a little bit of her takedowns in order to take those swing rounds. But I don't think she's going to be able to do that against Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva is someone who's been in line for a title shot for a long time. And I think that she's going to make a statement this Saturday. I think we're going to see her absolutely dominate Thug Rose, or I think we might even see that finish. I think my friends might be right. But inevitably, I'm going to even give it a 30-26. I think she dominates Thug Rose. I think she absolutely dominates Thug Rose. But we will see. Moving up the fight card, we have my favorite fight of this card. Waldo Cortez Acosta, Salsa Boy, taking on Derek the Black Beast Lewis. Waldo Cortez Acosta is coming off that knockout win against Ante Delija. Oh, sorry. You're coming off that knockout win against Shamil Gaziev, and before then, it was Ante Delija. Derek Lewis is coming off that win against Talison Texera, and before then, a flying knee knockout against Rodrigo Nascimento. I have the Black Beast in this fight. 40 years old, this is the last time we will ever see Derek Lewis at plus 270 odds and have justification to take it. This guy is the KO king. Cortez has shown that he has a chin. Like, did you see that fight against Pavlovich? Like, dude, the guy took some fucking bombs to the chin. But what about that fight against Ante Delija? The guy was borderline knocked out, but that eye poke saved him. Which, with that eye poke, he was able to recover, come back like a bat out of hell, and change the result of the fight and knock out Ante Delija. However, Derek Lewis looks like he's been in the best shape of his life. His camp it seems like it's gone very smooth. I've been keeping up to date with them. And another thing, dude, this guy openly admitted to ripping peptides. Like, what the fuck? He's in the best shape of his life, though. And I think that he knows he's at the end of his ropes. He's been taking his career seriously only in the past 3 years. Before then, like, he's been trying to win these fights is what I mean. Back then, it seemed like he would just go in there to scrap and whatever happens, happens. I think he's going to come out there. I think he's going to knock out Cortez. I think he's going to make a call for the title shot for the White House card. I think that he knows he's got those 2 fights left in him and that he needs to win this fight. But another thing is, like, I see so many weaknesses in Costa. Not only in that win against Ante Delija, but that win against Spivak. I bet on Cortez Acosta, and I couldn't believe he won that fight. Dude, if it's past the first round, and even though Derek Lewis is a fat fuck, Cortez gets tired in the second and third round. And Cortez, man, he's weak to the body. He's susceptible to getting hits. Like, he is really susceptible to getting hits. And Derek Lewis, he's coming out like a bat out of hell. He always comes out like a bat out of hell. And I think his pressure is going to knock out Cortez Acosta. I think he's going to flatline him. But if you want a counter argument, and if you're somewhat on the Cortez side and you want a prediction for him, would be that Derek Lewis comes out the first round. He tries to get that knockout he can. He slows down and Cortez wins a decision, but I don't see that happening. I see both of these guys, first pay-per-view of the year, on one of the most stacked cards. They're coming out there to get a bonus. They're coming out there to have a fucking scrap. But you don't want to have a scrap with Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, the KO King. You do not want to scrap with him. 16 wins by KO. He's the type of guy you want range, smart, intelligence. But for Cortez to get close to Derek Lewis is to get close to the barrel of a fucking shotgun. Man, am I excited for this fight. The 6-week drought has hit me hard, if I'm being honest. Anyways, moving up the fight card, we have the co-main event of the evening. Sean O'Malley takes on Song Yadong, the Kung Fu Kid. Sean O'Malley's coming off those 2 losses against Merab Dvalishvili, the most recent one being by submission. And Song Yadong is coming off that win. I don't quite remember. Oh yeah, Henry Cejudo, where it was a technical decision. What does that really mean? And before that, his loss was a close loss, closer than people think, against Peter Yan. In this fight, I got Song Yadong. I've been on Sean O'Malley when this matchup got announced. I've been thinking he's just going to come out there and pitter-patter shots, utilize his range, and take Song to a decision and win a 30-27, call for the title shot and a rematch against Peter Yan on the White House card. That's what I thought. This narrative, this cinematographic call out for this rematch against the guy he beat. But then I also thought, who is Sean O'Malley? Who is this guy? Is this a guy who's taking his career seriously? I've been watching these podcasts recently, like the one with MMA Guru and Tim Welch, where Tim Welch was saying that if O'Malley loses his fight, he's talking about retiring. He's 31. If he wins this fight, he's talking about getting the belt and then defending it one more time, then retiring. He's 31. Why are you clocked out of the fight game at 31? This is someone who's a prize fighter, and he keeps talking about, like, he's like, I already got the belt. Like, what more do I want in my career? And I don't want that in someone who I'm going to put my money on. You should be talking like you're an absolute killer. Like, you're destined to win this fight. But stylistically, that's just my, cinematographic bullshit nonsense narrative that I'm putting out there. But if we're talking stylistically, Sean O'Malley is a glorified kickboxing. I've been watching his tape back, and it's just more and more have I realized that He excels when people are striking with him. And that's obvious, Merab wrestling. And I'm talking about anybody who just wrestles against him, not holds him down like some Dagestani like Merab, not someone who's constantly shooting takedowns, but someone who's posing that threat of takedowns, who throws off his game. I think Song Yadong is going to win this fight by decision. And I think he's going to win this fight by decision because I think he's going to mix the martial arts. I think he's as fast as Sean O'Malley. I think he's got a granite chin. And I think in those striking exchanges where it's chaotic, he's going to blast those doubles. And I think that in the second and third round, Sean O'Malley's going to be thrown off his game. I think Sean O'Malley's going to look good in the first, but those doubles and mixing in the wrestling is going to throw him off. And I think Song Yadong can take this fight. But I will say it is a toss-up. So either way, I think it's going to be a 29-28. It could be a split decision. It could be a UD. And we could see Sean O'Malley come out there and clip Song Yadong. But I don't think that's the case. I think Song Yadong's going to come out there, box with him for a little bit. Sean O'Malley's going to look great, but he's going to start introducing the takedowns. Not to stay on the ground like a Dagestani, but to throw him off his game, to take those swing rounds, to make him constantly think about it. And another thing, when Sean O'Malley gets taken down so much, what I've noticed in his fight is he fights off the back foot, and he excels when he's on the front foot. He likes to be the one establishing range. But if he's so concerned about the takedown, he's always just running away from you, trying to hit you on the way out as a means to hit you instead of pushing the pace to you. And for that reason, I'm going to have to go with Song Yadong. Team Alpha Male, Uriah Faber? Come on, man. Come on. Which takes us to the main event of the evening. Justin, the Highlight Gaethje versus Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje's 3-2 in his last 5, and Paddy the Baddy's running off a nice little streak, and he's 5-0 in his last 5. Who am I going to pick? I'm going to pick Justin, the Highlight Gaethje. Why? Why would I pick the guy who's 37? Why would I pick the guy who got flatlined not too long ago? I'll tell you why. Paddy's looked unreal. Paddy's looked like a talent, a true talent. Paddy's looked like he's been improving in every fight. But who's he looking so dominant against? Michael Chandler, 2-year layoff, 38 years old. Also, he's pretty fucking ass. He's 2-5 in the UFC. Before that, Bobby Green, 38 years old, and it's Bobby Green. Like, do I even need to, break it down a little bit more than that? And before Bobby Green, it was Tony Ferguson. And that was not Tony Ferguson in his prime. That was not even Tony Ferguson close to the start of his losing streak. That was Tony Ferguson when he was 0-5. He went on to lose 2 more after that, but when he was 0-5 and he took him to a UD. Before that, Jared Gordon UD, which I cannot believe they gave him the decision, 1. And I can't believe it was a UD, 2. His highest ranked win is number 8, Michael Chandler. And I'm not sitting here doing MMA math, because that's what most people do. I'm sitting here, and the point I'm trying to make to you is it looks really easy dominating against guys who are not good. What about when he faces adversity? We don't have enough of a testing sample to see how someone responds to adversity. I like to see these fighters, these up-and-coming fighters lose one time, because then we can at least see how they respond to adversity and how that pressure affects them. All that we've seen is everybody against above 37 years old and who's pretty ass gets dominated by Paddy the Baddy. What does that mean to me? Justin Gaethje, though he's older, though it's not the same Justin Gaethje as 5 years ago, he's still Justin Gaethje. He's coming off that great win against Fiziev. Before that, he's coming off another win against Fiziev earlier on. And before that, he KO'd Dustin Poirier. And his only loss being, as of recent at least, being Max Holloway by KO. And in that fight, he got his nose compromised. And the KO loss was he was down to throw down for the last 10 seconds. He didn't need to be KO'd. He chose to be KO'd. That's important to know. Paddy the Baddy, I just don't feel like we've seen enough of a testing sample to be able to pick him and be so confident in him. Justin Gaethje, on the other hand, he knows that this is his last run at the title. He knows that if he loses his fight, he's going to retire. There's never been more pressure on Justin Gaethje to win this fight. I think he's had the hardest training camp he's ever had. And I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Gaethje actually mixes in the grappling, because Justin Gaethje is no longer just set on money, but set on legacy. And that's why he was so pushing for, give me the fight or I'm going to retire. But it is important to know that 2 weeks ago, Justin Gaethje had the most fucked staph infection I've seen. Because all these guys get staph and whatever, but this guy had a terrible staph infection. And those antibiotics really do affect your cardio. I think that Justin Gaethje might knock him out in the rounds 4 and 5, but actually I think he's going to win the decision. I think that Paddy is going to be really good in the first 2 rounds. I think we really should expect Paddy being really good in the first 2 rounds because he comes out like a bat out of hell. But I think that Justin Gaethje in those 2 rounds is going to be establishing the leg kick. He's going to be breaking down tools for Paddy's wrestling. He's going to be landing his shots. He's not going to allow Paddy to just establish his range. And I think Paddy's going to slow down as the fight goes on. Justin Gaethje has fought countless 5-rounders in his career. Paddy has fought 1, but he didn't even go the 5 rounds. He fought against Michael Chandler. So in every regard, Paddy is just untested. Cardio, skill level, and adversity. If Paddy comes out there and just fucking triangles Justin Gaethje and has a dominant win and calls out Ilia Topuria, will I be shocked? No. But to definitively say that Paddy is just going to demolish this guy because he beat some cans is an ignorant statement to make, man. You know what I mean? Regardless of what happens, it's an irrefutable argument to say that this guy's not been tested. How can he be a minus 235 when we've never seen anything from this guy? You know what I mean? And how is he ranked number 5? It says number 7 on Tapology, but he is number 5. He beat number 8 Chandler and they just snuck him up to the rankings. But man, regardless of what happens, I am excited for this fight. I'm excited for this fight. I think it's going to be way closer than people think, and I think we're going to see a scrap on Saturday night, boys. I think we're going to see a fucking scrap. So buckle in and get yourselves ready for UFC 324 that's taking place this Saturday in Nevada at the T-Mobile Arena. I'm Bod the Butcher, and this has been Lazy MMA.